Hi guys, let's talk more about Mockoon, my most recent obsession. So I did you all a favor. I went through all the tutorials and I recommend you go to them too if you're interested in the tool. And they're very good. And what I did is I saved all the examples in a JSON file here. So if you just open that JSON file, so let's go ahead and start from scratch. Okay, if you pull the repository and just open the examples.json file, you'll see all the examples that are in the tutorials. Not all of them, but all of them that can be reproduced. And let me know if I missed any. I don't think I did, but I will see. So anyway, so um, I practice a lot of the templating and the dynamic variables. So for instance, to let's test any of these for a second. So all those are housed in this examples HTTP. Right? So you can go through them, and then you'll get quite a bit of reproduction. So for instance, we're faker, like every time we hit this switch example, right, we're getting randomized data, and that's thanks to the templating, right? See, this is the faker example, for instance. Let's hit this one, faker example. Yeah, quite a bit of that, right? So every time we are getting different data, and they do have a few other utilities here, like query params. So based on the query params, let's say this is in the faker example, right? So if the query param called total uh, is a certain value, so you can like send a request with the query param and you get that many items, for instance, in here. So there's quite a bit of utility there. I'm not going to go to the tutorials, but if you want to like try them out, all tutorials are here. How did I apply them to the already existing CrowdCrock? That's the real question. So if you open the CrowdCrock example, so that's in the root. So if we go to that and make sure we're in the right URL. So how I used to have this was um, basically, yeah, I think this was exactly how I had it. So right now, what I'm doing is when I hit my crocodiles, right, one fixed item is going to be there, which satisfies my test, and I think I didn't have anything here before, right? So this was the state of things. So we'll always get public crocodiles. We should hit my crocodiles. We'll always get one, right? And that's not very realistic, right? It satisfies the test, but it's not that great. So we can repeat it 1 to 10 times with some number over here, some randomized name. We have this lot of utility, which is great. I could not, this date, there's a faker date, but like you have to split the array and get the first item. I couldn't do that here. Maybe it's not possible. So it's getting a fixed date of birth. Of course, the age doesn't match, but that doesn't really matter for our test. So when we do this though, check it out. So we'll always have Dustin Schneider, but the rest of the items, they're going to get randomized. So that's not something that is realistic. It could work, but it could be better. So what we can do is we can take this over here and see, we can put the same thing in the data bucket, right? So basically copy paste it, realize that it's not in the array. So after that, there are two options. I mean, we can put it in an array, right? We can totally put an array and do that. Okay, then restart, and then every time we hit get my crocodiles, it's going to be okay. No, we don't want. This is fine. Data bucket. We have to change something over here. Now we have to get this data file. So we specify, hey, get the data bucket that's named crocodiles, which is right over here. We name it crocodiles. Okay, and then let's turn off this rule for now so we can just test this thing. Yeah, like this. Oh, the thing with the data bucket, um, it's not going to be randomized. So you saw me before as I was hitting the same endpoint and it was generating different things. Data bucket starts up in the beginning when you start the server, or if you're using like templating in that, it's going to get after the first request to any route, and it's going to stay like that between all the calls. So if you like do a CRUD endpoint, the data stays there throughout all the calls until the server is restarted. So it's really, really cool. And it does give you that realistic edge. So how I set everything up is, let me undo. One thing it gets tricky is like you want to source control this because anything you do is automatically saved. So if you want to revert back, it's not always easy. So a trick to that is source control it and just revert. So if I look at my crocodiles again, here I had the data bucket, but I thought you know what? Let's just reopen it. Yeah, tricks over tricks. Crowd. Started. I want to see the data bucket. Okay, perfect. So it's not in an array. The reason it's not in an array is basically in my test, I have to have this fixed data so things work. So we're putting that in here, and then we're referencing the data bucket with data and then the data bucket name. Right? It's using the handlebar syntax. So what this is going to do is every time we're hitting my crocodiles, right? This actually turn off that rule for a second. Always get this one. When I hit it, it's always going to get this fixed one, and then the rest will be randomly generated. But they will only randomly generate after the server starts, and if you're doing any other dynamic variables over here, it's going to be right after that first call happens. The detail doesn't really matter, but basically you have to understand base data. So that data bucket was very useful for me, and I think I'm going to use it everywhere now. And there's a plethora of using Faker everywhere. So let's look at this one. Yeah, for instance, for public crocodiles, right? I think from K6 you get a fixed amount of crocodiles, which you can totally keep it that way because it's an easy test. Of course, it depends on your test. But for me, right, see, like I randomized all that same way. So it's 2 to 20 crocodiles, and you know the data type and all that. So the templating is very powerful. Awesome. Data bucket is very powerful. And there are a few more features which I wasn't able to exactly apply, but they are all here for if you want to try it out. But that's it. I mean, I put everything, all the changes are in the same repository. So you can take a look at my repositories, Mockoon API test. And so you'll see when you go to that Mockoon folder, you'll see the two JSON files and then the new HTTP files just to reproduce the tutorial examples. And I think the only thing I have left is to go through the documentation and see if I can improve any of these in any way. But other than that, yeah, for sure, take advantage of the templating. So add on to my video from yesterday. Take advantage of the templating anywhere you can. Very powerful. Also, to make things more realistic, try to utilize more of the data bucket. So the subsequent calls, you can randomize them, but keep them consistent throughout all the testing calls. So this is the gist of everything.